Testing, testing. Bum, ba-da, bum, ba-da, bum, bum, bum. Amazing. Okay, this microphone's sick. I gave in, guys. I gave in. I had enough comments. You know that you should be taking comments in, criticism in, when people are simultaneously complimenting your content and criticizing something. And enough people did that and recommended that I got a new microphone. I was kind of annoyed because I spent a lot on this guy. It's probably like 50 pounds or something, but like for a microphone, you'd expect it to be not terrible, but it was actually, I think, worse than the inbuilt microphone. So I was kind of dying with the sinking ship on that one. But yeah, we're slowly getting here on Epiphany Productions, slowly getting to the point where we are building up the video quality, and I think we're a week or two away from being able to properly start doing the bankroll challenge. The reason I put it off for so long is because I want to end up putting it on the site that I'm making, which is going to be an extremely professional site. We've got an amazing team. Like, I'm super blessed to have this team behind me, and it's going to be huge. It's not just going to be poker, it's going to be so much more, but I've already spoken about it. If you want to hear me speak about it again, I'll do it at some point, but not yet. But yeah, I'm thinking about doing a stream today. It's Sunday. I think I might end up playing some tournaments and just try and get back into it, see if I can get the OBS set up again. I do really miss playing online, and more than that, I actually miss Twitch. I miss how nice the community was. It was a shock because I always heard how toxic Twitch was, and I was like, it can't be that bad. First few days, oh my god, it was a brutal one, but I started to realize that the person who's speaking, the person who's... Sorry, my hair's wet. By the way, if anyone is interested, hair and skin is made so much better, and it's a brilliant gel for your hair by aloe vera gel, and it just washes straight out as well, and it's just super, super good. I don't like putting like really sticky stuff in your hair, but helps me see, and it stays there for the whole day, and I can just wash it out whenever. But yeah, I realized that the person in control of the Twitch chat, the person speaking, they can give off an energy that people react to really well. And it takes a bit of like delving into the little micro spots as well. And if someone says something toxic, addressing it, not being angry, not being trolly back, not having a go. It's so easy just to be like, hey man, fuck you, you're here to watch me, you know, and get really defensive and egoic about it. But it's a lot more effective if you're like, hey, I understand where you're coming from. I don't judge you for saying that, but here is why it might not be in your best interest to be the kind of person that's going to spread negativity around the world. And I really do think that that's the case for absolutely everyone. And I've been thinking about this. I'm just going to ramble. I just feel like making a video. I haven't made a video in a while, and I got a new microphone. I've been thinking about this, right? I believe that... How do I phrase it? All right. I believe that in, say, like 20 years or so, when information is more freely spread around the world, that selfishness, as we know it now, as a concept, is going to be antiquated. Antiquated? I don't know how to pronounce that word. I've only seen it written down. But it's going to be old-fashioned. It's going to be out. We're not going to use it anymore. And the reason for that is that I believe the people that we call selfish now, that are acting in their own self-interest, I don't think they're actually being selfish. I think they're being selfish. It's like a perceived selfishness where they're in the short term, you know, stealing off someone or lying to someone for their own benefit. But I think that negativity and that selfishness does more damage to themselves than to anyone else in the world. And I really feel so strongly, and I've seen throughout other people's lives and my own life, that negativity and positivity, they come back to you so intensely in ways you could never possibly imagine. Like, you could be nice to someone and it could, you know, someone else could tell someone else, and a month later someone would do something nice back. That's like an easy example. But I think on a more in-depth level, really sensitive and emotional people, they pick up on this. They'll know what I'm talking about. You can tell when someone is a kind person just from like their eyes, or the way they hold themselves, or the way they interact, within like 5 seconds. Sometimes you get the odd sociopath that slips through the net, but almost always you can tell if someone's a kind person. You get a feeling of uncomfortableness if they're like a manipulative person. If they're like a sexual predator, you get like that creepy vibe off them. And I really think that the way that you think influences the way that you act, and the way that you act influences the way that you feel, and the way that you feel influences the way that other people feel about you. And if you want your well-being to increase, and if you want people to fall in love with you, if you want people to want to be your friend, to want to know you, to look up to you, to respect you, then the things that I really think are important are virtues like honesty, compassion, kindness, putting other people not ahead of you but on an equal playing field, and always having that own self-love where you take care of yourself as well. This is the kind of shit I speak about on Twitch all the time, and people seem to like it. And then it's a lot nicer on Twitch because you get a lot of back and forth and you get some actual real deep conversation. One of the best moments on Twitch for me, and this is gonna sound real fucking weird, so I'm gonna have to caveat it before I say it. I believe that, okay, so the topic's pedophilia, right? It's a weird one, right? We don't like people that touch kids. Hate those guys. But I believe that one of the most damaging things you could do to the world and to kids specifically is to ostracize and shun and hate on and say, oh, I need to castrate any pedophile that hasn't touched anyone, so like a non-offending pedophile. And it's hard to say that because, you know, there's people that aren't pedophiles. It's so hard to relate to them and not feel icky. Like it makes my tummy feel icky just saying this. But at the same time, there's a good biological reason that we feel icky towards them, but logically and, you know, on an emotional level as well, they are just humans. Very often the reason for someone being a pedophile is that they've been traumatized as a kid, often sexually abused as a child themselves. And it's important, I think, to empathize with the biggest monsters out there in the world. Because if you can empathize with, say, like Hitler, you know, if you can sympathize with him, like, man, poor him for having to live that life, at the same time as being like, fuck that guy, you know, fuck his actions at least, then if you can empathize with him, then you can empathize with anyone. And I think that's a really important thing. And one of the most important things with pedophilia, I think, is showing them empathy, saying, hey, you don't have to go into hiding, you don't have to, I don't know, like, try and repress it, because if you repress sexuality, it comes back 1,000 times stronger. And instead of saying that, saying, okay, go get help. You can speak about it publicly as long as you don't act on it. Don't watch child porn. Don't do any of this stuff. Go see a psychiatrist or a therapist and see if you can unravel that trauma and turn that sexuality into something that's more normalized. I think that would stop a lot of pedophiles going into hiding and starting, like, their emotions start getting built up. They go into like the dark parts of the internet, and it's, I mean, it must be a terrifying existence, you know? And I think that the most important thing is that we think about the protection of children. And this is such a long ramble. It's a big tangent, but it's relevant to Twitch. I think that we think about the protection of children, and I think the best thing that we can do to protect children is to help the people who are attacking them instead of attack them further and make them defensive and make them have to hide away from society. Anyway, one of the best moments in my Twitch is that I'd spent a long time creating this really nice community. Everyone was so positive, so supportive of each other. Everyone was sharing like the deepest, darkest secrets, and the topic of pedophilia came up. I don't think I brought it up. I think someone else did, and I gave my opinion on it, like similar to how I just did now. And someone in the Twitch chat openly admitted that they were a non-offending pedophile, that they'd never touched anyone, but they had thoughts like that. And I was expecting all hell to break loose, because I've never seen that topic be brought up without people just like lynching or wanting to lynch the perpetrator or this perceived perpetrator. And not a single person said a negative thing. There are lots of positive comments, and I thought that was just incredible to go from such a toxic chat of Twitch where, you know, you make a bluff that doesn't work and you get like 10 people who are like, oh, dickhead, oh, you're so bad at poker, to the point where someone can openly admit that they're a non-offending pedophile, and people are really supportive and be like, hey man, try and get help, and, you know, well done for saying it. And Twitch isn't like an anonymous thing like a lot of other things. It doesn't feel anonymous. There's something about it that I think, like something like Twitter, if you know, random person insulting someone on the other side of the world that you've never met, I think people really get that feeling of anonymity there. But in a Twitch chat where the person's interacting with the chat, answering questions consistently, I really feel like people don't have that same sense of anonymity. Yeah, and it was just real big that he could do that. I've got so many things I want to talk about. I've been thinking a lot. I'm kind of trying to make this to... Should I talk about it now? I'll talk about it now. I've been thinking a lot about time, right? And bear with me, I sound like a stoner when I just even start that sentence. But anyway, I was about to go on another rant for a while about the concept of time and time being a singularity or an expression as opposed to linearity, but I decided against it. I'm not 100% sure if people are even interested in saying it, but I really do like speaking to a camera, but I think I'd rather do it on Twitch or maybe in a few future videos. We'll see. But anyways, if people want to come join me on Twitch, that'd be sick. We have a really good time, play a lot of poker. I give a lot of strategy out. I don't hold back on my online strategy talk. And yeah, I hope you guys, if I do it today, will come join me. But if not, come join me at another point. I really enjoyed how big the Twitch channel got and how many people were there supporting me and seeing all like the regular faces and shit. It was a really sick community, and I hope that I can give you guys back by giving you any information that might be helpful. I really try and give out in a really constructive way, so people at the lower stakes aren't going to get too confused and say, hey, this applies to these types of people. If you're only a 2-0 player, don't listen to this, play like this. And yeah, oh man, I miss it, man. I miss it. Anyway,